On March 5th, the Republican-led House Oversight Committee is going to have a hearing on sanctuary cities. The Democratic mayors of Boston, Denver, Chicago, and New York are invited to come. Well, we know Mayor Eric Adams of New York has flipped and is cooperating with the Trump team. And he had every incentive to do so because he had criminal charges pending against him that have been or are about to be dropped. This is where they could be transparent. A million things we don't know what's going on. So we have this hearing. And in my analysis, Brandon Johnson is the bigger fish because he's the best known. So just so everybody knows, this is a hearing for show. This is not going to be on March 5th, a serious discussion of sanctuary city policy. This is political theater. You have some of the most provocative, bombastic Republicans on the panel, including two names our listeners may be familiar with, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert. One Illinoisan's on the panel, Roger Krishnamurti, who we think is getting ready to run for Senate if Dick Durbin doesn't run. But it's going to be a big test of Brandon Johnson. He's what, guys, you weigh in and help me. He's at 7% now in the latest poll.
I think 8, very bad.
And 8. So what does this mean? Meaning he has never, ever, ever had anything like this. This is not like a debate. This is the world-class provocateurs, conspiracy theorists, truth be damned people that will be throwing stuff at him. And he needs to come out of this not worse than when he went into it. I mean, and everyone weigh in. What do you think?
If you're at 8%, do you have anything to lose? If you're at 8% and people don't think you're going to win a re-election, I mean, you're right. This is a huge spotlight for him and he can't screw it up. But I think it could turn some wins, I think, to one direction in a more positive way if he does well.
So what does he do? Throw like Hail Mary passes, comes out as a, it just throws it back at him? Because you can't, my experience with this panel is it's very hard to have a calm discussion while you see, member of Congress, we have a sanctuary city because our values are reflected. We're way past that.
Yeah, he has to not take the bait, especially as you said, from Marjorie Taylor Greene and others. He has to respond very calmly. We don't always see that at press conferences. We don't see him responding to things calmly. So that's something that he's going to have to do for if it's on a national stage, rather.
So I know he's been practicing, but you have to and he's going to get to Washington a little early just to, not have the pressure and stress of, just flying in and running over to this. It'll be televised. Also, by the way, listeners, if you see it, the mayor of Boston was raised in Chicago, went to Francis Parker High School, and then in her later life moved to Boston. The national spotlight could backfire on Johnson, but he had no choice but to go. What is maybe all of you could weigh in, what's the best case argument you think he could make to defend Chicago's sanctuary city status in the context of what we see happening? Guys, who wants to weigh in?
It's going to be tough for him to come out with a winning position. I mean, this is, like you said, this is political theater, two totally divergent political viewpoints here. I mean, the Republicans who are calling him to Washington aren't going to, we're not going out there for a substantive sort of discussion of what's going on. We're going to see congressmen sort of spouting the usual Trump talking points that he's been harping for more than a decade now. And we're going to see Brandon Johnson talk about the sanctuary city status that's been enshrined in Chicago since Harold Washington was in office. Like you said, I mean, this is, if anything, it's an opportunity for Brandon Johnson to get a few nice video clips that might gain traction on social media, defending his progressive policies. But, other than that, I don't really know what else substantive we're going to get out of this.
I'm predicting nothing. Elvia, is there any best case that you think the city can make that might change anyone's mind?
Well, I mean, historically, Chicago has been a city that has really welcomed and also benefited, right? Like the Democratic machine benefited from immigrants that were
Yeah,
living here. And even beyond the days of Harold Washington, I did a story looking at the history of deportations. I mean, going back all the way to like Anton Cermak.
yeah,
Um, he was a defender of immigrants. And when the government was pressuring him to give up the roles of who was on public benefits as a way to look and deport immigrants, he pushed back and he didn't give those roles over to the government. So I think there's a long history here of Chicago really protecting and standing up for immigrants, and mostly I think because it is a city of so much immigration, not just from Latin America, but really when you think of the Polish population here, a very significant population of Europeans have also migrated and really shaped the city.